So Tyrese Haliburton tonight hit what I would consider the shot of the season in a win that I think was massive over the Milwaukee Bucks. Could mean a ton for seeding in the Eastern Conference and have a big impact on a potential Pacers Bucks first round matchup this season. Incredible shot by Tyrese. We have to watch it back real quickly. Look at this shot that Tyrese Haliburton hit, an and one 4-pointer over Giannis Antetokounmpo. You just don't see many shots like that hit, and I would say that was the biggest shot of the season by any single player so far in terms of what it meant, the opponent they were playing, and the difficulty of shot, and obviously the point in time in the game at which he hit it. A massive win for the Indiana Pacers in a game where really Haliburton did not play that great. 14 total points, was 4 of 11 with 10 points prior to making that shot, but all is forgiven when you make a shot like that to beat a rival in the Bucks. And huge shot for Tyrese in a very important win for the Pacers. They got a lot of contributions tonight. Obviously Siakam was great, 10 of 15, 3 of 7 from 3, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 25 points. He was a +9. TJ McConnell was a +10 off the bench with 12 points on 6 of 9. Ben Mathurin comes off the bench with a +4, 17 points on 5 of 12, which is an incredible efficiency. But as a whole, a lot of good contributions. Again, Thomas Bryant, I've talked about him before on this channel, how important he's been to the Pacers' success this season since they added him in December, with, again, a +4, 4 of 7, knocks down a 3, 10 points, 3 rebounds. They got a lot of contributions from a lot of different guys tonight. It was a very important win versus the Bucks, who had Kyle Kuzma play pretty terrible, -18, really wasn't a real contributor. Giannis with 19, 17, and 7, but still, that's not quite the scoring you expect from Giannis. Dame was only 4 of 14 with 15 points, despite being a +10. And overall, the Bucks just did not quite have enough tonight. Brook Lopez is their leading scorer. Generally isn't really a strategy for success, but at the end of the day, it worked out, or it very nearly worked out for the Bucks. Wound up going the Pacers' way, though. Another huge win for a Pacers team that since December 8th and their loss to Charlotte, which put them at 10 and 15, are 26 and 13 since that point. I've won 2 out of 3 games since then and looked like one of the better teams in the entire sport since that point. So really impressive stuff from the Pacers over the past couple months, really salvaging a season that started off extremely rough. There was a real stretch these first month and a half or so of the season where I was like, are the Pacers fraudulent? I made a couple videos on this channel basically asking that question. I thought last year's conference finals run was kind of a fluke. Well, they've been proving me wrong for the last couple months now and deserve a ton of credit for doing so. Big ups to the Indiana Pacers for their resilience and how well they have played as of late. And this win tonight, like I said, was huge because of what it meant for seeding, tying up the East at 36 and 28 for that 4 seed versus what would have been a 2-game lead for the Bucks. Sorry, a full game lead for the Bucks. Well, wouldn't they be a 2-game lead? They'd be 37 and 27 versus 35 and 29. Yeah, they'd have a 2-game lead. So a 2-game lead is now a tie for the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. Really a massive win for the Pacers. And the biggest part about it is when you look at the remaining strength of schedule, Milwaukee has the 8th hardest schedule in the league and the 2nd hardest schedule in all of the East remaining in the season. They still got a game against OKC, a game against Denver, a game against the Knicks, game against the Warriors, another game against the Pacers, which is going to be a massive matchup, of course, and 2 games against the Lakers. Now, those 2 games against the Lakers could wind up being potentially easier games depending on if LeBron plays those games and how healthy Luka is and things of that nature. But all things considered, Indiana clearly has an easier schedule. They also have a game against the Lakers, 2 against Cleveland, a game against OKC, Denver, and 2 against Minnesota as well. So it's not like they have the easiest remaining schedule ever, but they do have a lot of gimme games mixed in there as well. And that game against Milwaukee on Saturday, it's in 3 days, could mean a lot for seeding in the Eastern Conference, because I think home court advantage might play a massive role in who wins a likely first round series between Indiana and Milwaukee, with the Pistons, to be fair, tied as well, 18 games and 18 and a half games back, having played 2 more games. It certainly isn't a guarantee by any means that the Bucks and the Pacers are going to wind up being that 4-5 matchup, but either way, that was a huge win for the Pacers to keep things close in that department and to give themselves the best chance they can at that 4 seed, because clearly it is a dogfight for that 4 seed in the Eastern Conference and who is going to get home court advantage in the first round. Also, realistically, I feel like you want the 4 seed the most because, again, that gives you home court advantage against the 5. And if you're the 6, then you have to play New York in the first round. And if you somehow beat the Knicks, then you have to go into Boston the second round. And look, I'm not saying Cleveland is an easy team to beat at all. In fact, I think Cleveland is as good as Boston realistically, but Cleveland does not have the playoff pedigree that Boston does by any means. They do not have the championship resume that Boston has after last season. And I would think, in all honesty, you would want to see Cleveland in their second round in order to have the best chance possible of advancing to the conference finals and having a chance to make a run here. So this was a really big win for, again, an Indiana Pacers team that's played really good basketball as of late. I mean, when you look at the advanced numbers since December 9th, which is the day after that painful loss to the Hornets, the Pacers are 26-13, like I said, which is the 8th best record in basketball. Now, to be fair, the Pistons are 27-14, so they deserve a lot of credit as well for how well they've played. But I mean, the Pacers have been basically pretty much tied for a top 5 team over that stretch, which is really impressive stuff. Offensive rating is 6th best in basketball on that stretch as well. They're not quite as historically great offensively as they were last year, but still a very good basketball team. And then defensively, this has been the most impressive part. A 113 defensive rating, which is 12th in basketball, doesn't seem insane, but for a Pacers team that has had some real defensive struggles over the past couple of years, and that is generally the biggest flaw this team has, that is a really nice thing for them to be doing, is playing high level defense, which puts their net rating at 4. Again, 8th best net rating in basketball, and really not far behind the top 5. Just really good basketball being played by this Indiana Pacers team across the board in the last couple months. Now, to be fair, the Pistons are 6 in net rating and the Bucks are all the way down at 12. The Bucks have some concerns. First and foremost, I don't know how I feel about Kyle Kuzma as a Buck. I just don't feel like he is an upgrade over Chris Middleton, and they gave up assets to get Kyle Kuzma. That didn't make sense to me. It wasn't significant assets on top of Middleton, but it just wasn't a trade that made a lot of sense logically, because it felt like a situation where Chris Middleton's shooting ability is extremely valuable on this team. They add Kuzma into the mix, who's certainly not a consistent shooter and has his flaws, and he has been flawed. I mean, he was probably their worst player tonight, in all honesty. Whereas the really nice thing about the Pacers is a lot of their role players are really good role players. For example, Andrew Nimrod was a -13 tonight, as was Aaron Nesmith. But both those guys, high-level defensive players, really high effort, play the right way type of guys who are going to be contributors on a night-to-night basis in whatever their role might be. And I just don't know if the Bucks quite have that. They obviously have the best player in a potential Pacers-Bucks matchup in Giannis, and one of the very best players in the world, maybe the best player in the entire Eastern Conference. In fact, he probably is. But it's just hard when he's not surrounded with a ton of depth and a ton of elite level talent. I mean, obviously Damian Lillard is an exceptional player, but he has certainly had his struggles, and he's not quite the player he once was. This Bucks team is flawed, and they've had some real struggles this year. And I gotta say, the Pacers are really hitting their stride, have been hitting their stride for a while, and look really well positioned to give themselves an opportunity to make a run in the playoffs again this year. So a massive shot for Tyrese Haliburton leads to a massive win for the Pacers, and the opportunity that could set up a Pacers home court advantage in the first round and an incredible potential first round matchup, because Pacers Bucks, obviously they're rivals. They don't like each other that much. That would be a heck of a series to watch. So with that being said, that's going to do it for the video. I hope y'all did enjoy. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.